Hey YouTube, what's going on guys? Today's video is going to be a tutorial video for people who are looking to start playing Fortnite and also for people who may have been playing for a little bit and have been having some trouble. So the first thing you're going to want to start off with when you play Fortnite is the settings, as with most games. So if you go into the settings, which you can find, just go back here, which you can find if you just hit the start button on Xbox and go over to that little cog, and this is going to come up. So you have your controller sensitivity X and Y. I like to keep mine at 5 for both. It's not too slow, it's not too fast, kind of in between, which I feel is a good spot. Then you have your ADS sensitivity. This is when you're aiming down sight, 0.5, right in the middle as well. You have your scope sensitivity, which is 0.65 for me. A lot of these things you're going to want to play around with and try to find what's best for you. HUD scale 100 and Xbox Safe Zone 100. So this is basically just keeping the picture to scale with my television and also all the information on the screen around the edges, like my minimap and my weapons. This is just going to decide basically how big they are in comparison to the rest of the screen. Then we have uncapped frame rate, that's off. Matchmaking is probably going to be auto for everyone, I would assume. It's just going to make your region to whatever's closest to you. Invert view, this is if you want to look, when you push left on the analog stick, if you want it to go left or right. So if it's inverted, then when you push left, it's going to look right. If it's not inverted, then when you push left, it's going to look left. Sprint cancels reload. So this is if you're reloading your weapon and then you push the sprint button, it's going to stop you from reloading. I don't know how many people use this. I don't think it's great, so I have mine turned off. Tap to search, interact. This one is great. I think it's auto sets to off, but it's one of the things that you should definitely consider switching to on. Just makes it so when you click on a chest, you don't have to hold the X button. Toggle targeting. So this would be if you are aiming down sights, whether you hold down the aim down sight button or just click it. I feel like to click it and then to have to click it again is just a little bit confusing, so I have that off. Auto equip better items, you're going to want that on because you want better items, of course. Vibration, I personally prefer it off. Some people prefer it on just so they feel a little bit more immersed in the game. I just like it off so it's a little bit less distracting. Aim assist, you're going to want that on. It's just going to be a lot more difficult to hit your shots with aim assist off. Reset building choice, so this is if the last thing you built was a set of stairs and then you stop building and you go back to your weapons and then you go back to building again, do you want it to be back on stairs or do you want it to be on a wall where it usually starts at and always reset to the wall? I prefer for it to reset because usually the wall is always the first thing that I'm going to be building. Show spectator count, this is kind of a new one. This is just so you can see who or how many people are watching you. So this is just going to be basically people that you've killed who are still watching you and haven't rebooted a new game up or left the lobby. I prefer to have it on just because I find it interesting to know who's watching. Some people might want to turn it off because it might give you a little bit of jitters, but if you don't really give it much attention, then it shouldn't bother you. And controller auto run on. This is one that I actually just found out recently from a friend. You can actually double tap the L3 button and then basically just let go of the stick and your character's just going to keep running. I haven't really used it too much, but I just leave it on just in case I have to make a really long run. I'm sure it'll come in handy. That's going to do it for the game settings. Brightness I have at 50%. I feel like that's a good spot. You don't want it too dark because then you're not going to be able to see anyone in corners, and you don't want it too bright because then the picture's just going to look off. It's not going to look good. Audio, everything at 50% for me, except for voice chat volume, I have it at 1. Once again, this is just going to be something that you're going to just have to play around with on your TV to see what you like. Subtitles on. I don't think that really affects Battle Royale. I think that's probably just for the story mode. Voice chat on because I want to be able to hear my teammates. And the controller settings, there's, let's see here, 3 different options here. I think it starts on Combat Pro, which is where you want to be. For the longest time I played on standard and it just wasn't cutting it because, you know, you have to scroll through weapons basically only left to right. So if you want to get back to the weapon to the left of the one that you're holding, you have to hit Y kind of thing, or triangle, I'm sure it is on PlayStation. So instead of that, if you have it on Combat Pro, you can just hit left bumper, right bumper, and it's going to make your life a lot easier. It might take some getting used to if you're used to standard, but it's definitely worth the switch. And that's going to conclude today's video. If you enjoyed what you saw, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.
He's just blocking. Oh, God.
Yeah, you got lost in the storm.